So a few resources where you can actually read these things in some sort of context. I've got a few yarns here. Now, a yarn, if you think of a ball of wool, and that material, that thread, is yarn. So a yarn is a story that someone tells. If two people are sitting around yarning, they're just casually talking. I guess because a sentence is sort of like a bit of string, and then several sentences like longer and longer string. So when you tell a story, you tell a yarn. It's like you pull out a thread and it gets longer and longer. So that's the metaphor. But a yarn often is funny, exaggerated. And there's a tradition, at least in Australia, probably many cultures, of telling these exaggerated, funny stories, often about country life. Is this something in your native culture? Common genre, if you like, of sort of funny stories, exaggerated, usually about country living. Anyway, that's what we've got here. If you go there, you'll get this website. And if you go down here, you'll just get a few different ones. If you go into that one, for example, they often have a character. Here there's this character Malcolm, and he's kind of a bit stupid and he's always getting into problems. So often yarns sort of circulate the same character. Alright, let's have a look at it. It's very short. We'll just look at some examples and how much slang is in here. Make it a little bit bigger. Just make it a little bit bigger for the screen. Yeah. Malcolm and the clay pan. Alright, there's a word right in the title. There's a clay pan. Clay, you probably know, soil, red soil. A lot of it in Australia, isn't there? You make pots from it. Pan, flat. Think of a pan on the stove. So a salt pan or a clay pan, geographical thing, very flat, like just where there's clay, often in the desert. Or a salt pan, like a salt lake, very, very flat. Okay, so Malcolm and the clay pan. Our dad and a couple of mates, slang, you know that one, decided to play a joke on Malcolm. So they waited until he was out cold. Bit of slang. Let's leave it and we'll go to the end of the sentence. And loaded him up, bed and all, on a flat tray ute. Slang, but it tells us in the brackets, utility vehicle. Have you heard that one before? A ute?
Yeah.
Again, it's just a shortening, isn't it? You can see this shortening going on. And they drove him about 5 to 6 miles out of town and placed him in the middle of a clay pan. They put his bed out there. A large flat dirt area. Okay, a bit of explanation. And then they hid behind a cluster, not slang, but you know, cluster, a group, I've used that word before, of trees with some binoculars to sit and wait for Malcolm to come around. Okay, 2 phrasal verbs here. Out cold. Remember, we clicked on the link and it said about drunk stories. So, where is Malcolm? What's he doing? They wait until he's out cold. What's Malcolm's state?
He's drunk.
He's drunk, right. And where is he?
Pub.
Here. He's in bed. Alright, he's very drunk. It's at the end of the night. He's gone and collapsed in bed. And so they pick up the bed and they take it out and put it out in the middle of the clay pan. Okay. So what is his mental state? Unconscious, right, exactly. Okay. So if you are out, if someone is out, they're unconscious. That's metaphor, isn't it? They're no longer in their mind, they're out. But if they're really deeply unconscious, they are out cold. Again, metaphor, no sign of life, no warmth. So out cold, completely unconscious. Very common term in first aid, medical terminology, slang. Okay, so he's deeply unconscious. They take him out, put him in the middle of the clay pan, and then they sit and wait for Malcolm to come around. What do you think that means? Recover, wake up, come back to your consciousness, come around. So around kind of slowly, like that, coming around to consciousness. Again, common term for ambulance drivers, etc. So he's coming around, finally, after resuscitation. Okay, so two phrasal verbs that are a bit slangish. When the sun was well over the horizon and the heat made him stir, move. Yeah, so someone wakes, they start moving, they're stirring. Not really slang. He apparently sat up, looked around, tried to figure out, probably know that one, work out, where the hell, bit of slang, where the bloody hell, the pub had gone. The pub, slang, hotel. He started freaking out and staggering around. And the jokers hiding in the trees had to come to his rescue. Okay, let's have a look at this. That's slang. That's not. This is a material verb. Remember the verb list I gave you last term? It's probably in that list. When someone staggers, what do they do? It's a particular way of moving. Kind of like stumble, yeah. So stagger is like that. When you're drunk, you stagger. That's stagger.
Balance.
Yeah. Okay, now, have you heard this one? This is, yeah. What's this one? Some people know this one. What's it mean?
Go crazy.
Go crazy, yeah. Freak is anything strange. Oh, he's a real freak. He's just weird and strange. Or if you're standing at the beach on rocks and suddenly a huge wave comes, you weren't expecting it. It is actually a serious danger in Australia. Don't go down and stand near rocks or fish on rocks because you can get freak waves that come and they just wash you away. So you can have a freak wave, just a strange thing out of normal. So if you freak out, you go out of normal state, and for any reason you could freak out because of fear or amazement or excitement, anything. But here, he's scared, I guess, isn't he? Confused. So he started freaking out and staggering around, and the jokers hiding in the trees had to come to his rescue. They took him back to Barney's pub and shouted him a few stiff drinks. Now what's this mean? Very common Australian social word. Buy, right, yeah. When you buy somebody a meal, or mainly drinks, you shout. So if you go into a restaurant with somebody, or a cafe, somebody says, my shout, means they're going to pay. My treat, yeah, less common. More, maybe Americans might say that. Americans won't say shout. It's very much Australian, and it's very common. Yeah. Stiff drink, collocation. What sort of drink is he having, do you think? Lemonade?
Yeah.
Water.
Probably be a good idea, wouldn't it? Got a few doctors in here. That'd probably be your advice. But what do you think Malcolm likes to drink? Spirit, right. A stiff drink, a really powerful alcoholic drink. Not just usually like straight vodka or whiskey or something. Stiff. Double shot maybe. Stiff drink. Stiff, strong, tight, isn't it? So it's got strong alcohol in it, which he surely needed. By the by, there should be a comma here. It did not stop him drinking. It's like by the way, anyway, a little bit of added extra. By the by, some extra information, slang. So you can see there, I don't know, there's 6 or 7 little bits of slang just in those 3.5 paragraphs, yeah? So I've got some links to 3 of those, and in each one there's more than one. But if you run out of those, just Google Australian yarns. There are dozens of such pages. You can just work your way through, having a bit of fun, having a bit of a laugh. There is actually, we know Philip Adams, don't we? Public
Yes.
intellectual, okay. He's got a very good series. I think I've got a copy in the library of at least one of these. You can often get them in Oxfam Bookshop. They're quite big. Over the last 10, 15 years, he and his wife have collected Australian jokes. People send him, because he's well known, they just send him emails and he reads them through and he collects them and puts them in categories, you know, drunk stories, farm stories, whatever. And he's done about 4 or 5 of these books. And again, you can sit with those, and of course there's lots of slang with people just like that, having conversations, have a bit of a laugh, look up the slang, use that with your Dinkum Dictionary or your Koala slang book. There's quite a resource there that you can work your way through over time. I should put a link up actually to those. But yeah, you'll get them in Oxfam often. In the Australian section, just go to A. Adams, and often there's 1 or 2 of those there. So, those are some resources in print. Let's go to actually hearing some, because slang, of course, is usually not written down, is it? It's heard. So, somewhere here. Ah, there it is. It's kind of hidden in the list, because a lot of this is cultural stuff we'll talk about in other sessions. But there's Kath and Kim, the comedy show. If you click on that, you get, I think I've already got it here. That one. It isn't Vimeo, it's this other one, VO. But if you click on it, you'll get this link here. And look, once you've played that one, you've got a next one and so on. If you just Google Kath and Kim series, you'll get them from all sorts of places. Let's have a listen to a bit of Kath and Kim. I can play maybe a minute or 2. We'll just play it a couple of times. And as we do it, I'll just write up some what slang comes up. Lost all my nice erasers. Ah, well. Okay, here we go. Just turn these around. What I'm going to do, it's a bit what we call grabby. Yeah, it's not streaming well, and I think it might be this display interfering. So I'll play it up on screen here only, and hopefully we'll get rid of that problem with the video. So just have a look here. Yeah, that's looking better now.
So you don't mind if I have this ham?
Oh no, Sharon, it's pretty old and slimy.
Oh, I don't mind, Mrs. D. I have got my indoor cricket semi-final on tonight. We are going to win for sure. I've got a plan. Guess what? We've got some news.
You've fallen again.
No, better than that. You bought a home unit.
No. Oh, well, come on, spill your guts. I'm shivering with anticipation.
Brett is taking me on a romantic holiday to the Hike Coolum.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, Coolum. That's sexy, isn't it? How can you afford that?
Well, a stretch, but it'll be worth it. I owe it to Kim.
Oh, wow, Kim Coolum. You are a lucky duck.
It's going to be so good for our marriage, isn't it, babe?
Yeah.
We just need some time on our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, just need a little bit of space. Get away from everything, everyone.
You know, oh, well, you know, Brett, Kel and I do try and keep out of your hairs, but it is a small home, I grant you that. It's not always possible.
I didn't mean that.
I know what you mean, Brett. Gee, you know, Kel and I wouldn't mind going to a nice Queensland resort, having some time on our own.
Gee, I don't need any more time on my own.
Any of your thoughts, lovely lady?
I'm just tired at the moment, Kel. You know, I seem to have lost my rasa sayang, as we say in Indonesian class.
You what, Kim?
Oh, you know, my lust for life. I'm just flat as a tack at the moment.
Not from this angle.
Oh, Kel, turn around. I'll wash your hair.
Yeah, I feel a bit blah. Probably just Melbourne winter.
Well, speaking of Melbourne winter, Kel, I've had a thought. Can I run something up your flagpole?
Fire away.
This is Big Brother. Catherine is the diver.
Don't, Brett. Kim, I've just been talking to Kel upstairs, and he reckons he can take some time off from the shop. So we were thinking maybe we'd come up to Coolum too. Would that be a problem if we came?
Oh, I couldn't give a fat rat's.
How, Brett?
What? They can look after Eps while we go to happy hour.
Brett, have you got an issue with us coming?
No, Kath, no. Just thought it might be a chance for Kim and I to be alone.
Oh, yeah, but, you know, we can all be alone together. It'd be great. All right, that's settled. We're coming. Cal, get on the net, doll. We're going. Kim, we'll have to hit the shops too, sweet.
Oh, goody, shopping.
Fun times ahead.
Right.
Okay, these like a lot of series, it gets better the more you know the characters. The characters are quite important. This is the son-in-law, of course. It's the humour of this show. It's probably a common sort of thing across lots of shows. These people are quite working class. And they've got money, new money, and they've bought larger houses, and they're trying to pretend that they're upper middle class, but culturally they're not. And so you see this gap between what they're pretending to be and what they really are, and that's the source of a lot of humour. That's a pretty common kind of recipe, isn't it, formula. So you've got Kath, the mother. Anyway, and Kim is the daughter. And this is Kim's husband. Now, just in that time, we've got this material, you know, so it's fairly dense. It's actually, what I'd do is I'd watch it to just get the gist and I think you've probably picked up the situation already. Yep. But what I'll do is I'll just run it again. I won't say anything about those bits of slang. Some of them you can see there's metaphor in there. Let's run it again and see if you can guess any of them from context. You probably only get a minority, one or two, but that's worth doing. And then we'll go through them and then we'll listen again. So just take it back.
Does anyone mind if I have this ham?
The other thing, of course, is, I'll just say, how do you find the accents here? Is it clear?
No.
Not clear, is it? These are strong accents. If you listen to these actors in real life, they've got voices like me. But here, they're acting this strong, working class accent, and this is partly what I was saying. They've come up with the money, but they bring their working class culture plus the accent to this higher sort of standard of living. That's part of characterisation. So, yeah, they've got very strong accents. So another good thing about this, bad in one way because it's difficult, but good in the other, you'll get the practice of just tuning your ear into the accent with the slang. I mean, that's the usual package, isn't it? You usually don't get a lot of this slang without a strong accent. I mean, in any society, the lower the class, the more dense, the more frequent is the slang, generally speaking. Yeah.
Can you explain to me, because I've been watched this episode long time ago,
Yeah.
but I cannot understand.
Yeah.
Is it because of their slang or because their accent?
It's both, isn't it? It's a mixture.
Drive me crazy, very
Yeah.
quick, and
Yeah.
you don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But you only can guess.
Yes.
And in the background, every time they're laughing, and I say, what they laugh at?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. That's what put me off like.
Yeah. No, look, it's difficult material, and not everyone's necessarily ready for this. You know, maybe you have to do more slang work like what we just looked at, say, reading it first, and picking up a whole lot of slang, and just getting more used to Australian accent before you're ready for this. I'm just showing this for you decide when you're ready. It's not probably a good idea to throw yourself into this and find it's overwhelming and you're not getting much, you know, because of the accent and because of the density of slang.
Even today,
Yeah.
I really get me lost.
Yeah, I'm showing you this because it's a very rich source, but it may be at this stage too rich. So, and you throw yourself into it, you get disappointed, demoralised, then you don't do it at all. You know, so you've got to self-manage your own learning, don't you, and judge when you're ready for a certain level of difficulty. So, if this is a little tough for you, I'd do other work with other resources first for 6 months or a year or so, and get your ear tuned to a lot of Australian accent, maybe with something like Australian Story, where you've got the transcript. You know, I'd say that's probably a better place. That's an easier place to start. If you work through 20 or 30 of Australian stories and felt tuned in with the accent, then I'd say, okay, then go to Kath and Kim. So you've got to self-assess here. So let's have a go at it anyway. We'll just run the rest of it.
Oh no, Sharon, it's pretty old and slimy.
Oh, I don't mind, Mrs. D. I have got my indoor cricket semi-final on tonight. We are going to win for sure. I've got a plan.
Guess what? We've got some news.
You've fallen again.
Nah, better than that.
You bought a home unit.
No.
Oh, well, come on, spill your guts. I'm shivering with anticipation.
Brett is taking me on a romantic holiday to the Height Coolum.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, Coolum. That's sexy, isn't it? How can you afford that?
Well, a stretch, but it'll be worth it. I owe it to Kim.
Oh, wow, Kim, Coolum. You are a lucky duck.
It's going to be so good for our marriage, isn't it, babe?
Yeah.
We just need some time on our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, just need a little bit of space. Get away from everything, everyone, you know.
Oh, well, you know, Brett, Kel and I do try and keep out of your hairs, but it is a small home, I grant you that. It's not always possible.
I didn't mean that.
I know what you mean, Brett. Gee, you know, Kel and I wouldn't mind going to a nice Queensland resort, having some time on our own.
Gee, I don't need any more time on my own.
Home, I grant you that. It's not always possible.
I didn't mean that.
I know what you mean, Brett. Gee, you know, Kel and I wouldn't mind going to a nice Queensland resort, having some time on our own.
Gee.
Okay. She is probably Australia's most famous comedian, Magda Szubanski, Polish background, daughter of immigrants. Yeah, very, very funny. Won many awards. She's in films like Babe. I don't know if you've seen Babe yet. And this particular character is quite brilliant, Sharon. She's a bit of slang, in English, a loser. A loser, you know, she doesn't have friends, she's not successful at anything, she's lonely, you know, isolated, and yeah, she's sort of attached to this family because she's got no one else, and she plays in a very funny way this loser figure. Very, very clever. And yeah, like she says there, I don't need any more time on my own because I'm always lonely. Yeah. It's very sad. I remember that word pathos. The other word, pathos, where we feel really sorry for somebody, but it's funny. It's very well done. Very interesting interview about a month ago on the ABC. You could probably find it on iView. she talked about her personal background. Very interesting. Struggled with depression and all sorts of things in real life.
She
Yeah.
even on the Jenny Craig for the
Oh, really?
program.
Yeah. She's actually
Put back
very,
again.
very well liked by Australians generally. Very respected.
I don't need any more time on my own.
Penny for your thoughts, lovely lady.
I'm just tired at the moment, Kel. You know, I seem to have lost my rasa sayang, as we say in Indonesian class.
You what, Ken?
Well, you know, my lust for life. I'm just flat as a tack at the moment.
Not from this angle.
Kel, turn around. I'll wash your hair.
Yeah, I feel a bit blah. Probably just Melbourne winter.
Well, speaking of Melbourne winter, Kel, I've had a thought. Can I run something up your flagpole?
Fire away.
This is Big Brother, Catherine, the diary.
Don't press. Kim, I've just been talking to Kel upstairs, and he reckons he can take some time off from the shop. So we were thinking maybe we'd come up to Coolum too. Would that be a problem if we came?
No, I couldn't give a fat rat's. How, Brett? What? We can look after Eps while we go to happy hour.
Brett, have you got an issue with us coming?
No, Kath, no. Just thought it might be a chance for Kim and I to be alone.
Oh, yeah, but, you know, we can all be alone together. It'd be great. All right, that's settled. We're coming. Cal?
And so what does he think? Mother-in-law's coming. Yes. All right. So I think you've got the situation. All right. We heard those bits of slang. Maybe one or two of them you can guess. Maybe some escapes you. Have a quick chat with the people next to you. What do you think? Did you figure out any of those? What's your best guess for any one of those? Don't necessarily start at the top. Which ones do you think you understand? What do you reckon on next?
That's something exciting. Maybe
She wanted to see also. You otherwise
I mean, she is excited, but spill your guts.
something
I didn't
spoiled.
hear that one.
You spill your guts. Yeah, your guts. You spill.
I think it was.
Okay,
Spill
so
liquid.
Kelly.
Yeah.
So tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, lucky that was easy. Ah, yeah, lucky. Yeah, lucky.
Yes, that's right. It's just a rhyme. Sorry.
My friends always say date? What do you think, date?
It means 16 or something.
To have fun.
Date.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
then also the same. How do you think date?
Look it up on China.
Yeah, they call each other babe.
Keep out of your hair. Yeah. Yeah.
Lose your hair or
No. Keep out of someone. If you keep out of someone's hair, or you say someone's in your hair, they're bothering you.
Keep out of your
So if you keep out of their hair, you don't bother them.
hair. Keep out of your weight.
It's in your head.
Eyesight. Your
Problems.
your child. Your own. Yes, she said this.
let the children know, understand
Leave their way. Of what they
So when the mother was cleaning, she said that.
maybe too small. Sorry for being in your way. Or
Yeah, she said something like that.
a penny.
He said in the bathroom, he said to the mother, he said Penny is a dollar. No less. Yeah, money. British money. To focus on selling your soul. Good. Yeah. Sorry. I'd like to know your idea. I will pay.